Hello everyone, how are we all? We are in the greenhouse right now, and this is the first ever, well I suppose, in real life greenhouse video. So it's a bit different to the normal setup. Today I'm going to talk you through some of the plants we're planting right now. It is March the 4th, which is Friday. It's quite cold, it's very wet, it is raining, so hopefully you can't all hear that, but let's go on to today's video. So I'm going to talk through some of the things we are planting. Now we've got a couple of April things and some March things. We ain't got tomatoes yet, but I'm going to go through some of the things. We are planting something else that we didn't plant ever. This could be a new thing for me. Now this year we are planting two types of carrots. Now the type we've got here is a March type. Now I'll just put this up to the screen for you. We also have, these are traditional carrots. However, we also have some rainbow carrots, which these are going to be planted in April. However, we are going to plant them a little bit earlier. It does help having a greenhouse because obviously that means the atmosphere is a bit more warmer, so the plants can actually germinate and grow instead of it being planted directly outside, which obviously you can do with carrots. You can also plant them in pots, which means we can bring that growing time a bit more forward. We also have some spring onions. Now these are February, so we're way into the time we could plant these, so definitely plant these in a pot, or maybe even some outside if we can. Now something I've never planted before, but I'm going to give it a go this year, is lettuce. Now I did get this pack of seeds at the end of last year, however it wasn't opened because I knew I wouldn't have enough time to plant it. Now this does have a growing time from sowing outdoors for all year long basically, from March and October, and you can harvest as early as April. The optimum time is August, however clearly from the back here you can harvest and plant it very early, so that's going to be interesting to see how that does. Also plant a bit of parsley. Nothing special, just a herb, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Now in terms of what we are going to be planting, all these seeds here, obviously I forgot to mention radishes by the way, we'll get onto them, pretty different. Other than radishes really, we'll be planting everything in these little seed trays here. Now these do have a plastic lid, which is always very important for this time of the year, and I'll explain why in the next clip. Now in the last clip you saw me mention about the plastic trays. Now the reason plastic trays are important is because they obviously add a bit more heat into the actual seed tray itself, which obviously makes the seed able to germinate a hell of a lot more easier. And obviously makes the plant develop a lot more quicker, and without it, obviously you don't want your seed to fail, so it gives it more chance of succeeding. So obviously when it's more colder, when there's still the risk of frost this time of the year, in the morning especially, obviously having that seed tray, that plastic little tray, actually I think I can get one right now if you just give me a second. So what we do have here is a pot of compost. Now I'm starting off with radishes, which basically what I do is you get a pot, a fairly sized pot. Obviously you can fill it with more compost, which I will be doing. However, just for the sake of argument, we've got some compost here. I've got mainly old compost. Now when you're reusing compost, you're going to be careful not to try and disturb the soil a lot, because if you keep the soil how it was the previous year, then you keep a lot of the nutrients and vitamins all in that same area, and it'll really help with growth. So what you want to start off by doing is getting a quite firm start of the soil, and get your radish seeds, and you're going to sprinkle them on top. Now I have to do this off camera because I ain't got my hands. Now what you need to keep in mind is you're going to need to put a good helping of seeds, because not every seed is going to succeed, especially this time of year. So as I say, I'll put a nice helping. Obviously you can seed them differently, so once they've grown to a nice little sprout, you can just put them in different pots. So there's no worries about doing this, because obviously you can separate them to different pots after they've all germinated. Now what you're going to do is we're going to grab a bit of compost or soil. Now unfortunately I was going to stop recording, but basically what I was doing was spreading the compost all over the seeds. Now you don't want to put too much on, just because obviously there needs a bit of air. And then what you need to do is I highly recommend getting a spray, obviously like a Dettol thing, reuse it, clean it out, and then fill it full of water, and then just spray it over your compost. Now the reason I'm saying this is that this time of year it's not very warm, so obviously the seed doesn't need as much water, so you don't want to be using a hose yet. Obviously this isn't reused, this is just came with a set we have. Obviously make sure you put a decent amount. Obviously that looks quite wet, but again that's all going to soak down to the soil, which is still quite dry underneath. So that's fine. And we usually come out here every day or every other day and just... Right, so we have our two seed trays fully filled up with compost, which you can start putting some of the seeds in. And also, I will tell you which ones do have, or which seeds are in which ones. However, here you can see the full compost. Also, identifying the plastic trays, which are for these, because I was under something, so that's great. Now, we have planted this side here. Now, what we've got in here is brother beans. We've got 10 peas, and we have 6 broad beans. So what we're going to do is we are just going to do the same thing we did with the radishes. I'm just going to spray them all down. Make sure they've got nice helpings of water. Also, make sure that you've got decent helpings. Now, for me, these trays actually have holes in at the bottom, so the water does leak out a bit, which means I can afford to give them a tad more water than I would with the radishes, which do have a hole at the bottom, however, it's a bigger pot than these. Now, obviously, these are seedlings, so once these germinate and develop a bit and get a few more roots into the system, then we can think about putting them in bigger pots, which means the plant can develop into the tall plant it's going to be later in the season. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this side all for tomatoes, and what I have done is sprayed the soil a bit, just to make sure it's hydrated, and I'll keep on spraying attached, nowhere near as much as this side though, so when these germinate these will be used in the water. I've got 2 plastic containers both here, which you can see fully locked tight, and obviously that will lead to germination eventually. Now that is the end of today's video. Obviously I've shown you a few of the things I'm planting. There's will be a part 2, and obviously throughout the season we're making more of these videos. Drop a like if you did enjoy it and subscribe. Again, throughout these videos you are going to see the development of these plants. Again, you've seen quite a few different things planted today. Obviously throughout the season you'll see a lot more. Obviously tomatoes won't be on now, and hopefully get them into that seedling tray, and eventually you can start seeing some juicy tomatoes coming off a vine. See you guys later, and cheerio. Make sure to drop a like there and subscribe.